Well, hello there, my lovelies, and welcome to another edition of the Barefoot Book Club. Um, as promised, I said I'd do a book review on this little book, this fictional book, and it's called Awaking the Witch by Rachel Burge. This was one of the £3 books from the works. My daughter bought it and then she finished it and I started reading it. So basically, the story goes that Ivy, who is our heroine, was dumped at birth in a motorway service station by her mother and spent all her life in and out of foster homes and care homes. And at the age of 17, she was living with a foster family. She'd had a little job and she got a friend, but that was about it in life. And all she wanted to do was find her mum to find out why she decided not to keep her. She managed to track her down to a place called Burge Island, which is in Wales. It's an actual place. And wrote her a letter in the hope that her mum would write to her or call her. She did eventually get into contact with her mother, but it was all a bit hush hush and a bit scary and a bit frantic and a bit nothing made sense. So she then decides that she's going to go to Burge Island to find out where her mum is and to find some answers. So her friend took her, and this is where the adventure begins, because unbeknownst to Ivy, her mother had close calls with witches. Now, the witches sort of lived on the island and were sort of stuck there, and there was connotations with the underworld and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff going on. And they got to her mother, and the reason why her mother gave Ivy up in the beginning was because they didn't want her to get involved and they didn't want them to come after her. But what she didn't know was that she was a witch in a former life, and everything that was happening to her was a result of what happened in this former life. Anyway, I won't delve too deeply into what goes on. However, so what did I think about this book? It was okay. It was a bit of a slow starter out of the gates. Took a bit of getting into. And I did decide whether or not just to call it a day and leave it. And I thought, no, let's see how far we can get with it before we get bored. It sort of lost its way in the middle. It sort of got a bit mad and a bit crazy and a bit sort of... I don't know where it's going with this. And then towards the end, it perked up a bit, and there was, the usual, lots of fighting, lots of spells, lots of, hair-raising stuff going on. And then it just stopped dead. And it left me wanting more. I wanted to know what happened to Ivy and her mother. I wanted to know if there's another book after this, and I have looked, and there isn't. There isn't another book for this. So you could find out what is actually going on after. Would I go back and read it? No, not again. It was too much like hard work the first time round, so I wouldn't contemplate giving it a second go to try and make sense of it. Would I keep it? Probably not. It'll probably end up in the charity shop bag. It's not something I would want to keep or something I would want to return to reading. Yes, it was an okay book. Yes, it passed the time, but it didn't grab me. It didn't grab my attention. It didn't want me to not put the book down. It was just one of those books that you'd read it and you were like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's a bit, yeah, it was a bit. So yeah, so unfortunately, it's a bit of a no for me from this. It was a nice fiction book. It was okay. It was witchy. It was spelly. There was lots of witches, lots of spells, lots of things going on. And while you were reading it, you could draw the images up in your head. But it wasn't the kind of book where you would think, oh, can't put this down, I must carry on reading. It was like you'd read a few pages and you get bored and put it down again. So yeah, I don't think I'd bother buying it or bother reading it again. So yeah, unfortunately that's a bit of a no for me for Waking the Witch from Rachel Burge. I don't know what more else I can say about this book. So yeah, hopefully I'll have another book for you to review in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how we get on with that. So lovelies, that is a very disappointing review on Waking the Witch by Rachel Burge. Try it, you might like it. I wasn't grabbed by it. So lovelies, I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday evening. And from me at Barefoot HQ and from the Barefoot Book Club, we're sending you all much love and many blessings.